Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our city council meeting. We'll go ahead and get started. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lorick. Here. Mangum,
Here.
Mansfield.
Yes.
Nichols,
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Glad.
Here. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you'd remain standing for the invocation, which will be offered by Pastor Jonathan Dinger, representing Grace Lutheran Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for inviting us in to be able to start meetings this way. I don't know how many cities in the country do this, so it's an honor and a privilege. Let's pray. Gracious Lord God, we rejoice in the liberties and freedoms hard fought, hard won here in our country, and the joy of living in this state and in this community that we call home. We thank you, Lord, especially in this time of Lent, leading towards Easter, for the freedom to worship and to gather freely, to pray and to praise, to give thanks. And we seek at this time, Lord, wisdom upon these people who represent us and who serve us so faithfully and well. We ask, Lord, that you would give guidance, protection, and strength to those who work in our city, especially law enforcement, fire protection, and all those who serve us day by day, often unheralded and unsung. And so we thank you, Lord, for that. And now, Lord, grant your wisdom. May we work in peace and harmony for the good of all people that live in this place that we call home. We pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pastor Dinger's one of my favorites. It's always good to have you here with us. Thank you. We will move to agenda item number 3 as a consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter listed can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, minutes. Council may wish to waive the oral reading of the minutes and approve the minutes from the special city council meeting of March 6 and March 13, 2025. B, material claims. Council may wish to approve the material claims for the period of March 1 through 15, 2025. C, Historic Preservation Commission appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Darrell Buffalo to serve as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission, replacing Tabitha Butler, whose term expired. Darrell's term will begin March 21, 2025 and expire March 21, 2028. D, Housing Alliance and Community Partnership reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Rita Patterson to continue serving as a member of the Housing Alliance Community Partnership Board. Raina's term will begin April 23, 2025 and expire April 23, 2030. E, council decision Barton Villas subdivision approval. Council may wish to adopt its decision approving a subdivision of approximately 1.10 acres of land into 13 lots and 2 stormwater non-buildable lots generally located in the 800 block of Barton Road and subject to conditions. F, council decision Western Skies Division 4 subdivision approval. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the subdivision of approximately 6.94 acres of land into 28 single-family lots generally located west of I-15 and north of Western Skies Division 3 subdivision, subject to conditions. G, declaration of surplus property bicycles in police storage. Council may wish to declare 12 bicycles currently in police storage as surplus property and approve the donation of said items to Bicycles for Recovery in accordance with the city's policy and current memorandum of understanding, and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents pertaining to the donation, subject to legal department review. Council, I might remind you that Councilmember Cheatham has asked to have agenda item A, the minutes removed and considered on a separate agenda item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President.
I move that we approve the agenda item number 3, the consent agenda items B through G.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Council Member Mansfield. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Lorick,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Council, I would entertain a motion for council, or agenda item 3, agenda item 3A.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda item A as outlined in agenda item number 3.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lyric and a second by Councilmember Paulson. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Lorick,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Cheatham,
No.
Mangum,
No.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 4 as proclamations. We have one proclamation. Proclamation is a Senior Nutrition Program Month, and it will be read by Councilmember Paulson.
Whereas, since 1972, the National Senior Nutrition Program has funded local agencies and organizations to serve home-delivered and congregate meals that help to ensure older adults have opportunities to stay healthy, independent, and connected. And whereas, more than 10 million older Americans face hunger each year. And whereas, local senior nutrition programs help older adults access healthy foods, nutrition screening, education and counseling, social opportunities, and other supports that encourage well-being. And whereas the National Senior Nutrition Program is an integral part of Pocatello, providing sustenance and so much more to our older community members, especially those most vulnerable to malnutrition, chronic health conditions, social isolation. And whereas National Senior Nutrition Program is having a positive impact on our community and its senior members. Now, therefore, I, Brian C. Blad, Mayor of the City of Pocatello, do hereby proclaim the month of March to be Senior Nutrition Program Month in Pocatello and urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them through nutrition services as essential contributors to the strength of our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have a few minutes if you'd like to just say a few words.
Thank you. Mayor and City Council, on behalf of the Senior Activity Center and the Board of Directors and the hundreds of members that frequent our center, I thank you for declaring this month and recognizing the importance of senior nutrition. I just want to and I'll introduce myself. I'm Tara Contreras. I've joined the Senior Center in October, and it's a wonderful place to be. And if I don't know if I've seen any of you there, so I'd love to have you come and have lunch with us. I just want to tell you the need is growing and the people recognizing the center is growing. Just in the first quarter, I pulled the numbers, and in 2024, just the first quarter, we served 3,400 meals, 3,424. And in the first quarter of this year, to date, we still have a couple weeks, we've already served 3,959. So we've had 15% growth. We've served 535 more meals than we did last year at the same time. And our numbers are growing every month. When I started there just in October, we barely hit 100 people a day. Like, we were really excited on Chicken Fried Steak Day if we hit 100. And that was the day that we really, people came out. But today we served 100 people. Yesterday we served 134. And it's just a random day. And so the word is out.
chicken fried steak?
You have to watch my menu. I move it around the month so
Okay.
that because we have some people that come on Tuesday and some people that come on Thursday. Some come every day. So I try to move it around. So yeah. So this week it was on a Wednesday, or this month it was on Wednesday.
Because it's really good.
It is really good, but you've got it. I've really changed our menu too. So come and look at it. It's become more of a dining experience for our seniors. I want it to be a place that they really look forward to coming to, that social aspect. We want to meet the nutritional needs, and all my menus are gone through a dietitian, but that social piece, it's become a place where people are arriving. We start serving at 11:30. People are arriving at 11, and just sitting in the dining room and visiting. We have a coffee station so they can just come and enjoy, and they're staying till 1 o'clock, or after, and we stop serving at 12:30. And it's just a place where they're mingling and visiting. And this is outside of the classes. This is just in the dining room, people just socializing with each other. And it's a wonderful place to come. So I invite you to come and share lunch with me and meet our seniors and see what we have going on there. So, and I thank you so much for the proclamation.
Super. Thank you.
Question, do I have answer questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Can I say something though? Mayor?
Sure.
I also do want to plug Meals on Wheels. Please, would you consider donating? Because they also do help with the Senior Activity Center, and you guys do great work.
No, we don't.
Well, with Sika, sorry. I know you guys have kind of been in partnership a little bit. So both what you're doing and with Meals on Wheels, please consider donating or volunteering.
Perfect. Yeah. Great plug. Thank you. We will move to agenda item 5 is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. April 3, 5:30 PM, clarification meeting. 6 PM will be a regular city council meeting. April 10, 9 AM, a city council work session. March 21, 12 PM, groundbreaking ceremony for the new skate park at Optimus Park. That happens to be tomorrow at noon, right across the street over here, just so everybody knows where that is. March 31, annual spring cleanup at City Cemetery begins March 31. Crews will remove and discard all flowers and decorations. Citizens are asked to remove decorations, etc. they have placed on a cemetery space. If they wish to avoid disposal of any item by staff. Cleanup is expected to continue through the end of April. Compost Happens program, April 1 through the last full week of November. Yard waste carts will be picked up at the same day as your regular collection day. April 5, Zoo Idaho will open weekends only. Beginning May 3, Zoo Idaho will open every day. As a reminder, there are sandbags available to residents at the Public Works Building located at 2405 Garrett Way. And keep sidewalks clear of snow and ice. When clearing sidewalks and driveways of snow, please do not place the snow in the street. It becomes a driving hazard. And I can't wait till we can stop talking about snow in the driveway. We'll move to agenda item 6 is taxi cab license denial appeal Johnson. Ronald Johnson will be present to appeal the denial of his taxi cab license application, which was denied by Pocatello Police Department.
I didn't know when you wanted me to
Yeah,
talk. This is my first time.
That's it.
So, good evening. My name is Ron Johnson. And this is going to be kind of difficult to go through for me. As we go through it, you'll understand why. Couple of things that
Ron, if you got some handouts, you want to give them to me?
Oh, to you? I thought.
Go ahead and give them to me, and I'll pass them out. That way you can stand up there
Okay, this
and
is
continue
just
to talk.
let you know that it was hard to get certification showing that I was a firefighter back in this day.
Okay,
But the chief of the fire department remembers me, and that's our court. He's trying to get it, but he didn't get it in time.
okay.
But it shows,
All righty, and if you go ahead and step back there to explain that to us, have you got another one?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then I got a couple more as we go, but if I give them to you right away, you get confused a little bit. I would. So, and that's just my background. So, let me get my notes here. It started back, make this as quick as I can, 1989. I became a single dad from day one. Didn't really expect to be a dad, but it happened, and I walked out of the hospital with him. And so, is one thing that I loved being was a dad. You would know, being 31 years, like, whoa, But we did everything together, from taking airplane rides on his birthday to, growing up, going on a boat cruise. I'd take him instead of a girl. We did everything together. And in which I'll show these now to you, I was doing fire department, and I was working with Washington State Escort, which, so a picture's worth one thing I learned in the past was people can type up letters on their computer and say, Joe Blow gave these to me. And so it took a while to dig into the past on Google, so to verify things. But here's, what an escort does. In the state of Washington, we're licensed in Washington State Patrol. We're all usually off-duty fire. And we do, as you can see how long the processions are, with 2 bikes, let's say the first bike grabs the first light, and then the second one grabs the second one. Well, when you have 50 cars, if I'm passing you at 60, if I'm going 60, I'm only passing them at 30 if that's how fast they're going. And so sometimes you got to expedite triple digits through oncoming traffic in Seattle. It's dangerous. And one of the things in there, I think, shows one of the officers later on how bad he got hurt. I mean, that's why they paid well, because it's very dangerous. I did that for over 10 years, including FTO, which is a field training officer, and being a single dad. When was it? 1996, I got hit by a car, 70 miles an hour. I was paralyzed. My right hand was reattached, among other injuries. And, I'm walking again, which is good. But back in the 90s, here, take oxycodone. It was, every doctor was saying, take how much you want. I realized I couldn't go back to work. I retired. 2000, moved to Wallace, Idaho, bought a restaurant. And my son loved it there. You got ATV and snowmobiling, great place to raise a kid. In 2006, he got strep throat. So I went to the doctor, penicillin shots, came home. 3rd day, came back from Shoshone County Fire Department, found him dead on the couch. It was penicillin-resistant strep, went into his heart and lungs. I had to break his jaw open to do CPR. Normally, we keep him warm, with CPR until we go to the hospital, but being the senior EMT there, slash paramedic, I actually zipped him up in the black bag in the house. And I maybe spent one more night there. I just, you come in, you see where he died, you're done. So that's where my trouble started. I was still taking oxycodone, but as prescribed, but a lot of pain, You're seeing black and white, not color. It's mono, I'm sorry. I didn't think I'd do that. Anyway, in a small town, everybody's walking up to you, are you okay? Well, of course not, And the chief goes, look, I know this deal, federal hazmat, that they haul stuff out of Hanford, Coast Guard boats, whatever. And their firefighting background, they use 14 guys, they're private military contractors. And so you can talk about it when you want, but if you don't, nobody knows. Why don't you try that? And it did help a lot because you're not seeing a lot of triggers, I couldn't even walk into a Walmart for 10 years during Christmas. It was just a rough time. And so to kill the pain, I would take more oxycodone. That's the only thing. I don't do illicit drugs or pot, or you can't anyway, a CDL1. So I started doctor shopping just to kill that pain. And so make a long story short, about 2 years later, I went into a Walgreens to pick up my script, and I had some dog treats. Here you go. They ring me up. I leave, and they did not ring me up for the oxycodone. And so I didn't really, I wasn't paying. I'm in a fog anyway. And so they charged me with impersonating, and the reason is that logo I gave you guys, the Washington State Escort,
There's those.
matches that. I was wearing that jacket. And so I didn't even try to fight anything. I was just, give me your best shot. I'm in a lot of pain. So I went to prison for that for 9 months, whatever it was, after the jail, deal. Never had a probation problem. Went right back to federal hazmat. And so you can see what that is. somewhere around here. It, again, this is kind of broke up. There we go. Well, that helps a little bit. This is the beginning of it. It was tough to find it on the internet, trust me. And so, one of the things that they asked, since I'm a federal dog trainer,
So I'm going to need you to go back there so that
Sorry.
you're on,
sorry, so
the
one of the
cameras.
things they asked while I was doing this was they had a military hospital that was going to be redone for condos, and they were having problems with homeless. They said, hey, can you bring your dogs in? This is during COVID. And so, well, anyway, here we go. This kind of shows the property they were on. It's a little mixed up here. You can see some of the dogs and whatnot that were trained. Just to verify, I'm telling you the truth. The property diagram there, what they had to guard, it was 8 city blocks worth. They were real successful at it, but I'm still, in a fog, not trying to heal the PTSD, but nothing seemed to help, as far as meetings, talking to therapists. And then again, if you don't have a gun charge or a violence, as long, being a private military contractor, where it talks about in there, they don't have a problem with it, as long as people you're working with are fine. So it didn't cause me to, my job-wise anyway, and to talk about to prove I'm a federal dog trainer, I zapped those out. And it kind of shows, you guys don't have the time to probably read it, but all the responsibilities that I have, I still am certifying their dogs for, which are protection dogs to deter a problem, because if one of the drivers gets hurt by a fight at a truck stop, that truck's dead until one of us gets there. So it's a real problem. So the dogs are there to keep people away, basically. If they do engage with a person, they'll look like they're gonna bite, but they won't, which is hard to train. They'll stop at that point unless you give them the command. So they're a great deterrent. Never had a problem with them in over 15 years. So I was at our mobile command unit, which is a mobile home. Oh, by the way, sorry. Here's some more pictures of that escort. There's the gentleman who got hurt doing motorcades. Anyway, so now I haven't been in trouble for a while. And about this time frame, one thing helped me with my PTSD, and I can pass this on to, if you ever have somebody that's going through this, is a young kid at the fire department that I was visiting goes, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. And he goes, let's reverse this and say, you died. And you're up there looking down, and you see your son totally wasting his life in just a statement, not enjoying anything. What would you think? And that hit me, So that one statement turned me around a little bit. Like, you know what? You're right. He's probably real disappointed in me. He's going to be there when I'm done, and let's move forward. So about 3 or 4 years after that, our rig needed some transmission work in Post Falls, Idaho. I went there and wrote a check for it. I got home, realized I didn't turn on my bank account. So I go back with the cash. Well, they automatically run them, and they already had Post Falls making a report saying it was a bad check. And they called Post Falls and said, look, the gentleman's back here in 2 hours with the cash. It was an honest mistake, but with my record, they came back and said, we don't need you to press charges. We can do it without you, to the owner of the shop, and hit me with intent to steal. So they finally gave me 2 years probation. Cool, because I never had a problem with probation ever. And COVID hit, and they gave me permission to go to Washington, back to the Manger submarine base, to train our dogs. So about 8 weeks before I was done with 2-year probation, get a call in December from a new probation officer. And he was, wanting me to report in 48 hours. Well, the pass was snowed in. It was December, it was a bad snowstorm. I go, I'm not a weatherman, but I have no problem getting there. Or can we do video or something? He said, no, you got 48 hours. So after that, I asked the one Kitsap County canine cop that always kept coming over to train his dog, can you please every week check to see if there's a warrant? Because if there is, if it showed up at the gate at the Bangor submarine base, I'm done. I'll never get back in. And so sure enough, it pops up. I turn myself in to the Snohomish County Sheriff's Department to take care of it. I get back, and the probation officer said I want him to do his time. Forget about his 2 years probation. That's gone. Doesn't count. I want him 2 years in prison. And so here I am. I've totally turned my life around. I got they call one of the driving records a DAC certification for CDL ones. I got a 1,000,000-mile certification, no tickets, no accidents, perfect record for what we, when I do drive. I'll be working with Shuttle. He's the one his son approached me about it because of my background with fire, being medical transport and whatnot in their cars. And, when I met with the owner, his dad, he's a retired deputy sheriff. So I thought, well, right there, I got to explain what's going on with me. And he still went forward with it to be able to come to here. So if anybody's going to have his thumb on me, it would be a retired deputy sheriff. But I've never had any problems except PTSD. And I just didn't care through that 10-some years. It was hard to explain to somebody who hasn't done it, but it was hard. Especially when my whole life was just gone. I actually had my house paid for in Wallace, and I gave it to the city. I said, do whatever with it, donate the money to something. I just didn't want to even one more minute. So another reason I picked Pocatello, no triggers. Nothing will remind me, me and my son used to walk down the street, and so that's another reason I picked here. And so within the first month of getting back in society, I got an apartment. I'm retired. I got Social Security, I'm stable that way. But as far as financially and stuff, I go through PTS meetings, which really help. I haven't taken oxycodone for 8 years. So, I've gone past all the bad hours, the bad decisions. So I guess I'm asking for a second chance.
Super. Council, any questions?
I have several.
Absolutely.
So first off, my sympathies to you and your family over the loss of your son and the hardships that you faced. I really do sympathize with this loss and the grief. So my questions, though, first question, there's multiples, so bear with me. First question is treatment and rehab. When did you start? When did you finish? Have you
I've done
entered?
about 4 different psychiatrists, rehab. They don't really have, as far as rehab for the oxys, I just went, forget it, because of being a federal dog trainer and whatnot. I just said, this isn't the path. After that one young firefighter gave me that statement, it turned me around that day. As far as you're right, he'd be looking down at me, being disappointed, and he always looked up at me. So that's what caused me not to do the drugs again. And it was, I haven't done anything as far as except ibuprofen. And so going through the PTS meetings, I got one here that I found that helps. And I found now that it's more like they'll ask me how I've made it through it. And everybody's got a different path on that. Some people don't make it, I'm just fortunate I have.
So I'm seeing here, it looks like every 2.5 to 3 years, there's a lapse. So looking at the history here of offenses and issues and occurrences, it looks like we're on track for year 2 coming up. And I'm not casting any
Absolutely.
judgment or anything. I'm just saying from what I'm seeing here, it looks like every couple of years we have a lapse.
The last charge I had nothing to do with the oxycodone or anything. It was that check.
I completely concur with that.
Right.
The issue is for the appeal of this license
Yes.
is the fact that we're looking at felonies and criminal charges, right? So every couple of years we have criminal charges that keep stacking on top of each other.
Correct. It
So
did.
that's not a question necessarily. That's kind of a
It's a
red
comment.
flag in my
Right.
opinion. So to the next question,
Yes, sir.
probation. You said you had no problems on probation, but I'm reading that you had an issue on probation and then you had to get incarcerated for a.
Correct. That's what I
Violation.
mentioned earlier. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you in jail? When you were
years.
incarcerated? 2 years incarceration. Okay. So then you had mentioned Hanford, the nuclear site. Did you say that you had worked there?
We are private military contractors that will haul stuff depending on the level of risk to whatever area. Sometimes it could be a Coast Guard boat that they build in Safe Boat in Seattle. It could be very low grade contaminated dirt that they're getting rid of that they'll take over to North Carolina. I don't know what they do with it there, that kind of thing. So
Okay.
there's multiple places and things that we can haul.
So then,
But right now, to answer your question, I'm just keeping our dogs certified.
okay. So you had made multiple comments about the oxycodone and how you came across it one of the times at the pharmacy and you accidentally walked out, wasn't rung up for it. However, though, I see that you were in possession of 13,000 pills.
No.
And I don't understand how that becomes a prescription of 13,000.
They were talking about how
Pills.
many I have prescribed for 1 year. I wasn't in possession of it. They were just showing how many I got in 1 year.
Okay. So it's over 1,000 pills a month.
At 10 milligrams, yes.
Okay. So outside of this, do you have any other form of employment?
I'm on Social Security right now, so I'm retired. And so to answer your question, no, I was hoping I could be doing this it's right up my alley as far as driving.
So are there any other prospects out there? Any other?
I haven't really looked at it yet. I was seeing what would happen here is I didn't make sense of talking to like a restaurant or whatever. I have that kind of background and go to work there and then say, oops, by the grace of God, I got, my license and I'm going to start driving. So I didn't want to put an employer out in 1 month, counting on me. So that's why I waited for your decisions.
So who is Randall Johnson? Or Randolph
That's my
Johnson?
middle name.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for now.
Yeah, and they were maybe estimating on how many. They were giving me, when I had my accident, 80 milligrams 3 times a day of Oxycontin, which is pretty high, and then 130 30s for breakthrough pain. And it went up from there. I was being out of the University of Washington. So when you're talking 10 milligrams, and you kind of do the equation, but like I said, I was trying to kill that pain the best I could. And it just, it's amazing how one person can, totally just with one comment go, bang.
So I believe wholeheartedly in miracles, like 100% believe in miracles. And I believe that with your story, that's a miracle.
It
for
was.
someone to speak a word to you and
And it
instantly
was-
the habit's
it
gone.
just- first time I saw color again.
Right. So the hard part though is how do we enforce the fact that this relapse doesn't happen again? Because based off of your word, and I'm not discrediting your word or anything or what your experience is, but if you had, say, treatment or rehab to fall back on, they teach you certain tools and certain ideas and thought processes on how to avoid these things or these pitfalls, how to pick yourself up once you fall back down again, all these different things. So with that, it gives me a little more reassurance. Again, not
Talking
saying,
even in prison with all the different programs that they put me through.
so that was one of the questions. That was the question I was asking, treatment and rehab, because
Yeah, I had a lot
prison
of it
and
in
rehab
prison.
and treatment are two separate, it's not
Yeah,
the same.
with PTS classes along with thinking for a change and all the ones that they give you. Yes, I went through all that. But again, it wasn't like, hard to explain. I wasn't addicted to the pill because I went cold turkey. I mean, you go through addiction, withdrawal, but I wasn't doing it to get high. I was doing it just to kill that pain from my son's death. So it was a little different for me when I walked away from it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how, I don't drink. I'm not one to go out there. I've never really been one to go party or anything all my life. So I've never abused, recreational drugs. I don't know why we call it recreational, but we do. I got a good record with the fire department. Even going through what I was going through then, they always counted on me. I just was thankful, like you said, that one miracle that 8-9 years ago that totally, and after that I didn't have any drug-related charges or anything. That check was something that, because of my record, I totally understand it. And they gave me probation. I got a new probation officer, and because I couldn't get there in 48 hours, because of the snow. I was in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Council President Lyric?
I have a couple of questions, but
Sure.
I just wanted to first touch on one thing that Councilmember Mangum asked you about and it looks like in 2013, and you said it was over the course of the year, but you obtained more than 13,000 oxycodone through several different providers by deception and misrepresentation. I'm struggling with that number. That is over 1,000 pills a month. So
Right.
are you saying that you were taking all of those
Yes.
pills?
Yes.
1,000 a month?
Well,
Over?
at 10 or 5 milligrams, like I was explaining before, I was used to taking 80 milligrams Oxycontin, which is a lot more powerful than what those were, 3 times a day, plus another 130 30s. And it went up from there even more before my son died. So, and I was still helping with the pain, but my son was still alive. So I was doing it so I could work harder. And I'm not sure how accurate that number is, but yeah, I'd get a prescription once or twice a week. I can't recall how many. Sometimes it could be 60 of them. It could be, but that 13,000 is a little, high, I would assume. I don't want to sit there and argue back and forth about it because it's not, it's on my record. I don't know, where they got that number, but I know how many I was taking, at the time. So I would assume, at 5 or 10 milligrams of a lesser potent drug, that I would be, easily, taking, I'd have to use a calculator, but what I'm saying, because I was used to taking that regimen before for 10 years because of my accident, and that was a lot,
The other question that I have, I'm kind of struggling with this. You've, talked about a lot of your experience. I also echo Councilman Mangum's condolences. I know
Thank you.
losing somebody is very difficult, and I understand that can lead to
Oh, it did.
some issues, yes. But the one thing in all of what we've heard so far, you're answering questions, you're explaining what happened in each of these situations and sort of each charge. You have an explanation of what happened, but what I'm not hearing in that is you taking responsibility.
Oh, no,
for
absolutely, I
these.
take
Do
responsibility. I'm not arguing what happened or saying I didn't do it.
Okay.
You know, I was just kind of explaining what I was going through, why I got those. By no means am I saying, oh, no, I didn't do that. You know, I was set up. No, I had nothing to do with any of that. No, I just didn't even fight them because I just, again, was in a fog. But no, I was just lost, and there was no other way to explain it. You know, without being in my shoes, it was almost like, give me your best shot, because I'm in so much pain that going to prison, I'd never been in jail before all that my son died. And it was like, you know, you can't do anything worse to me. You know, I'm in living hell right now, so.
And I guess the last question that I have right now is, you know, say that you were lost
Right.
during this time, and short of Councilmember Mangum's word, you know, miracle, what do you think has enabled you to turn your life around? Like how, without therapy and that kind of thing?
I've been through all that, and for those 10 years I was doing therapy. I'd see psychiatrists, I'd do whatever, but there's nothing they could say or do. Well, you want to take drugs? No, I don't want to take drugs. You know, that was the whole reason I got in trouble. You know, they were offering all kinds of high-powered antidepressants to things that make me sleep at night that are addictive. I just want help, you know, to further on now, you know. But like you said, I never thought about it as being a miracle, but you're right.
But what do you think saved you and
That comment,
that?
that totally, within 10 minutes, I was thinking, my son's so disappointed in me, watching me. He looked up at me so much as it was reversed. I was his hero. And all of a sudden, how disappointed is he looking down on me? Thinking, what the hell is my dad doing? You know, and it just, I want to make him proud. So, yeah, got one comment.
Okay, any other questions, council? Okay, Ron, I have one question for you real quick. You gave me these. Did you want us to have a copy of these? Because I've been giving them back to you.
You can keep them or I can take them.
It's up to you. If you would like to.
Need them?
We don't need them.
Okay, I just thought that searching through Google would, you know, Google usually checks background stuff anyway, you know, before they post it. And so it's not like I just got a black and white letter that who knows who printed it up. I wanted to be able to verify, you know, what I've done or been involved with without, is this real? You know,
Sure.
You know, if that made sense.
Super, thank you. Mallory, would you like to? Sorry, Mallory, I think I did it backwards, but I didn't? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mallory Bascom, Pocatello Police Licensing. I know that you do have the notes in front of you that I provided earlier. I don't believe Councilmember Cheatham's been able to review those, so I'll go through the information I found in the background check. I denied Mr. Johnson's application for taxi license in accordance with City Code 5.56.050E, which states that applicants must possess a criminal record free from conviction for any felony or for crimes involving moral turpitude or violence or possession or sale of any controlled substances. Upon examining Mr. Johnson's criminal record, I found several disqualifying charges. While I am still waiting on record returns from some of the jurisdictions, the following information is based on the results of the fingerprint-based search that was conducted. In December of 2003, Mr. Johnson was charged with felony unlawful exercise or function of a peace officer for holding himself out as an officer of the law, though that charge was later dismissed. In May of 2008, he was convicted of felony second-degree theft in Snohomish County, Washington, and sentenced to 6 months in jail. In May of 2008, he was also convicted of 2 counts of felony acquiring of a controlled substance, oxycodone, by providing false information, and 1 count of felony criminal impersonation in Snohomish County, Washington, and sentenced to 16 months in prison. In August of 2011, he was charged with 1 count of possession of a controlled substance and 1 count of possession of paraphernalia out of Lawrence County, South Dakota, though the charge for possession of a controlled substance was later dismissed. In September of 2012, Mr. Johnson was charged with possession of a legend drug without a prescription out of Spokane County, Washington, though that charge was also later dismissed. In November of 2013, he was convicted of felony possession of a controlled substance in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and sentenced to 12 months in prison. According to a report by the United States Attorney Office, Mr. Johnson had been seeing several healthcare providers under various dates of birth and had fraudulently obtained prescriptions for more than 13,000 pills of oxycodone through deception. In October of 2015, Mr. Johnson was convicted of 1 count of felony possession of controlled substance, oxycodone, without a prescription out of Spokane County, Washington, and given a 12-month prison sentence. In this instance, he reportedly held himself out to medical staff as a federal agent while wearing a badge around his neck and provided a fictitious date of birth and social security number. In May of 2017, he was charged with 2 counts of felony burglary and 2 counts of felony obtaining or acquiring a controlled substance by deception, misrepresentation, fraud, or forgery in Post Falls, Idaho. He was convicted of 1 count of each and given prison time. According to that report, on 2 occasions separated by approximately 14 days, Mr. Johnson fraudulently obtained prescription oxycodone for an arm injury after identifying himself as Randolph Johnson, a federal agent, and providing a false name or false date of birth and social security number. While his middle name is Randolph, the report indicated that he had spelled it differently in this instance. During the first visit to the clinic, Mr. Johnson reportedly provided staff with a business card, which, according to the report, inaccurately listed his titles as a federal canine trainer, Federal Interstate Security Team, and Blackwater Canine Unit. On the second visit, Mr. Johnson reportedly attempted to refill his prescription early by claiming that his prescription had been destroyed by a border agent while taking a hazmat load to Canada. With that, he had provided a form that bore the logo for the Washington State Escort Service, which referred to him as Officer Johnson. During that visit to the clinic, he was reportedly wearing a firefighter jacket and Department of Homeland Security shirt. That report also noted that at the time, Mr. Johnson was on felony probation out of Washington for prescription fraud. In April of 2021, he was charged with criminal impersonation and second-degree theft in Port Orchard, Washington, both of which were dismissed. In October of 2021, he was convicted of a felony check drawn on an account without funds for credit for approximately $1,600 out of Kootenai County, Idaho. In December of 2022, he committed a probation violation by absconding or failure to report to his probation officer, which later resulted in his probation being revoked and a sentence for prison time with credit for time served. It should be noted that when asked on his application if he had ever been convicted of, pled guilty to, or admitted to any violation of criminal law or had a withheld judgment for any crime committed or incarcerated, the only charge listed was the most recent one in 2021 for the check fraud. As I completed his background check, I noted that Mr. Johnson reportedly had several other misdemeanors across various states, including Idaho, Washington, Montana, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. In several instances, he reportedly provided different variations of his name, fictitious dates of birth and social security numbers, and frequently held himself out as an officer, federal officer, member of other governmental agencies. Again, this information is just based on what I found in the background check and the fingerprint results. I can answer any questions that you have for me at this time.
Councilmember Mansfield and then Councilmember Mangum.
I'm a strong proponent of these appeals. I think they're important to getting opportunities for employment. And there are a lot of things in this account that I can overlook. I'm not comfortable with somebody who has multiple convictions of impersonating an officer, federal officer, state officer, you name it, driving taxi in our city. And I didn't know if there would be anything that could have sufficiently convinced me otherwise. But I didn't hear anything that did. I would move to deny. Yes.
Sorry, before a motion is made, Mr. Johnson needs to be able to have the last word.
He gets last word.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions for Mallory.
Okay. Councilmember Mangum.
So other jurisdictions, he has criminal charges or things outstanding in other jurisdictions, correct?
Not any outstanding charges. The last charge on his record is the one from 2021, followed by the probation violation.
Oh, you're waiting for reports?
I'm just waiting, I don't have detailed reports from all of the jurisdictions yet, so this information is based off the few reports that I received and then the fingerprint returns.
Okay. So with these dismissals, are there any notes on those files that,
No, the ones that I had
why?
additional details on, I provided. Unfortunately, I don't have additional information on those ones that were dismissed at this time.
that's, I mean,
Okay.
Just a quick follow-up on the reports that you were waiting on. Are any of them, or do you know if any of them include anything after the 2021 and the 2023 probation violation?
The
Is there anything
fingerprint
more recent?
returns, those are FBI fingerprints, and so those are pretty comprehensive. So the only thing that any of those reports would provide is additional context or
Okay.
background information or additional details. There wouldn't be any
Not
charges
new
missing from those
charges.
fingerprint
Okay.
results. It covers the entire nation.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions for Mallory? Okay, thank you, Mallory.
Sorry.
Ron?
I guess as far as what I already mentioned about, that's one reason I pulled up our federal hazmat. When I would write down federal hazmat, I'm assuming they thought I worked as a federal personnel or agent. Inside that stuff I gave you shows military private contractors. So yeah, I'm sure they assumed, a couple of them. I was just looking to get oxycodone. They didn't answer, you just write down who you work for, your insurance. So as far as that first impersonation, that's why I showed you both logos, Washington State Patrol and Washington State Escort. I can understand how the girl behind the counter would assume after she found out she didn't charge me for the pills. Again, some of the report, I'm sure it's, when they are actually doing the report, it's the officer's interpretation of what happened. I don't think any of that actually came out in court because of the charges. It was more fact-finding, more, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, just their additional facts that they think they found. I know this would be a miracle if I got approved for it. I think one thing that's a plus of all of it is who I'd be working for would be a retired deputy sheriff that does want me to drive for him. So if anybody's got their finger on me, it'd be him. He's very straightforward and understands what I went through. So, and I knew it was like, Mr. like you said, miracles happen, but I didn't, that was good that you said that because I didn't think about that part of it. Put there I just thought it was a happenstance, but it probably was more than that.
Okay,
that,
Councilmember Mangum?
so, again, my sympathies are with you for the loss of your son and for going through the issues that you've gone through. I congratulate you on overcoming some of these issues, mainly the drug issue. I know that grief can cause people to do unspeakable things. I would imagine you had made the comment that, these things didn't come up in court and so on and so forth, but I would imagine there were witness statements that were made, and that's how they got some of this stuff.
I think a lot of it would be the officer's interview with me and just assuming, I'm guessing part of his comments was maybe from a front desk person that took my application for the doctor that would say Federal Hazmat 1. And I'm assuming that's where they got that, thinking that I was trying to portray myself as a federal agent instead of,
I can 100% appreciate that. However, though, in part of our role is to make judgments based upon the good of our city and supporting the health of our city, right? And making sure that the citizens of our city are protected. And so with that, looking at this bit of information that we have, it's not the grand spectrum of everything that has happened in your life, but based upon this information, I, like Councilmember Mansfield, am not comfortable approving this license. And so with that, I would move that we uphold the revocation of Mr. Ronald Johnson's taxi cab license.
Denial.
Or the denial of the appeal. My apologies.
Second.
Hold on, I want to make sure we're clear. Not the denial, you can either deny the appeal or uphold the original decision.
We are going with the original decision at the behest of
Thank you, Ron. You can sit down.
staff.
Sorry, just want to make sure it's clear.
Yeah,
Good.
sorry about
Second? I can second that, Jared? Okay, second.
Okay, so thank you, Councilmember Mangum. We have a motion by Councilmember Mangum and a second by Councilmember Mansfield. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Mangum?
Yes.
Mansfield?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Lorick?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is upheld. We'll move to agenda item 7. It's fiscal year 2025. Hey, Chief, will you go out there? Thank you. Agenda item 7 is fiscal year 2025 program of projects, public transit. Council may wish to approve the 2025 operating and capital program of projects for public transit, urban and rural service, and authorize the mayor and city attorney to pin the grant certifications 5307 and authorize the public transit director to make necessary amendments and modifications related to the grants as required, subject to legal department review for the following. A, Federal Transit Administration Urban Grant 5307 in the amount of $1,445,534 for fiscal year 2025 with a local share of $848,884. And B, Federal Transit Administration Rural Idaho Transportation Department Grant 5311 in the amount of $791,395 for fiscal year 2025 with a local share of $347,893. No city funds are used for the rural program.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve agenda item number 7, the 2025 operating and capital program of projects for public transit's urban and rural services as outlined in that agenda item.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Council President Lurick and a second by Council Member Paulson. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Lorick?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Mangum?
Yes.
Mansfield?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, donation acceptance, Southeast Idaho Skate Park Association. Council may wish to accept a donation in the amount of $25,000 from the Southeast Idaho Skate Park Association and apply those funds to add a feature to the quarter pipe, a stair set, and additional entrance to the Optimus Skate Park, to the new Optimus Skate Park.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we accept the donation of $25,000 from the Southeast Idaho Skate Park Association as outlined in agenda item 8.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before we vote on anything at all, we do have with us, and I would just like them, if they would like to take a second, Dave, and is it Tatiana Van Eaton? Vanet? Okay, come on up here and you can explain it to the thing. I'm sorry. I can't read my own writing.
It's Van Etten.
Vanet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Would you like to say anything about the skate park? I know we're pretty excited about it, actually.
I just want to thank all of you for your support and your dedication to the youth of the community. I think this is going to be an amazing addition to the community, and I think that you all will be amazed at how many kids will be out there using this all summer long, and probably out there shoveling it in the winter.
Probably true.
Sure.
I know that they were pretty excited when you had your big event out at Ross Park, and Councilmember Nichols had the opportunity to announce that we would be doing something like this, and so
Yeah, that was a big hit.
that was pretty exciting there, and so we've been working on it and pretty excited about it. And so tomorrow, I'm assuming we will see you at the groundbreaking.
Yep.
That'll be awesome.
And I think we're going to get all 4 seasons while we're there, so.
I think we will too. Dress warm, but keep shorts on, and just in case, huh? Perfect.
Thank
Super.
you.
Thank you for all you do with the youth and with the skate park association and everything. It's amazing to have somebody like you that's leading that charge. So
I
thank you.
appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working with you all.
Awesome.
Thank
you. Let's see if we accept this now. If they don't, they're going to have egg on their face. I know that, but we'll find out here. We
We'd
have
be
a motion
fools.
by Mansfield and a second by Lyric. Aubriana, could you please call the? Well, I have Lyric down here.
Mansfield.
Oh, Mangum. What did I say?
Mansfield.
Mansfield. You twins down there. I got to have the twins separated on either side of the table. Councilmember Mangum and a second by Council President Lyric. Aubriana, could you please call the roll? It is,
It's Mangum.
it's Councilmember Mangum was first. He made the motion. I've really screwed you up too.
Mangum,
Yes.
Lorick,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't know why you look so much alike down there, but it's driving me nuts, so.
It's the beard.
It's the beard. I'm sure of that. Thank you, and congratulations. This is really exciting. Agenda item 9, WPC lift station pump purchase, McKinley Lift Station. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and approve the purchase of a new Fairbanks pump submersible motor and components from C.H. Spencer LLC to replace the existing pump at the McKinley Lift Station. The quoted cost of the equipment is $64,725.39. Funds are available in the FY 2025 WPC budget for the expenditure.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve agenda item number 9, the WPC lift station pump purchase for the McKinley Lift Station. And that's it,
Second.
as outlined in that agenda item.
Is that Paulson that did the second there?
Do we have triplets now?
We have a motion by Council President Lyric and a second by Council Member Mansfield.
Good job.
Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Lorick,
Yes.
Mansfield.
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, bid acceptance and contract for High Country Tank Replacement Project, Water Department. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and award the bid for High Country Tank Replacement Project to MD Nursery and Landscaping Incorporated in the amount of $3,955,852 and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review. Funds are available in the Water Department fiscal year 2025 budget.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move for bid acceptance and contract for High Country Tank Replacement Project, authorizing your signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Mansfield and a second by Councilmember Cheatham. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield.
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lorick,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 11, Professional Services Task Order. Oh, I'm sorry. Rick, you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's someone there in the audience who could answer a question about that agenda item number 10 for me.
There absolutely is. He was begging for somebody to call him up, and he's on his way now.
The camera I'm looking through, it's difficult to see that far away.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Justin Armstrong, Water Superintendent.
My question is, Justin, whether there is a timetable for completion of this project yet?
Yes, we defined within the contract, I believe 395 days. That's with weather delays built within the contract.
When do you expect construction to begin?
This summer.
Nothing more specific than that yet?
Once we issue the notice of award and get all the proper documents from the contractor for insurance purposes, then we will issue the notice to proceed shortly after. So earthwork should begin, hopefully, weather permitting, access to the tank, and they'll begin some of the earthwork up there in that site. The tank contractor, one of the subcontractors that's coming in to construct the tank, is expected to begin this fall.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item 11, Professional Services Task Order Number 7, Amendment Number 1 for services during construction. High Country Tank Replacement Project, Water Department. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and approve Task Order Number 7, Amendment Number 1, under the existing on-call engineering services agreement between the City of Pocatello and Keller Associates in the amount of $205,460 and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review. Funds are available in the Water Department fiscal year 2025 budget.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve task order number 7, amendment number 1, under the existing on-call engineering services agreement between City of Pocatello and Keller Associates, as outlined in agenda item number 11. I don't know where 7 came from. And authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents subject to legal department review.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Mangum. Aubriana, could you please call the roll?
Lorick,
Yes.
Mangum,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 12 is items from the audience, and we have nobody that has signed up for items from the audience, so we will move to agenda item 13. Council, thank you for your work today and all that you do, and with that, we are adjourned.